All right, guys. I got a good topic today that we'll roll through, and it's going to give you some insight. And some of these concepts, I will give examples where you can utilize them not only from your day to day and whatever that looks like for you, but you can roll them into the fitness realm, and then your productivity, and then if you are on the business front, you can implement some of these tasks in this type of training into your business as well. And I'll give you a different examples as we go through. So what we're going to really talk about is, having some type of system in place for keeping that edge on a day-to-day basis and making sure you're hitting the task you need to hit. What do those look like? So how to shift from that grind it mode to strategic mode, not only in fitness, but this is going to roll over in fitness and wherever you set as a professional. And there's a framework that we'll go through, and some of you may use some tools like this, and then some of you may not, and it's maybe a way for you to incorporate some of these tools into your daily task. So what I see with one of the main problems with that mind that you just grind it out, or the grind mode, and I've been there as well, and I fall into that trap sometimes, and it's more about um, if you're always grinding, you're always on, you're chasing more effort, more hours, more intensity. And then it feels productive, but it's going to create burnout, inconsistency in results, and frustration. And the grind mode keeps you busy, but is it what you should be doing? And it goes back to the when I talked about nutrition, you hit up to 80%. Well, this one we're going to actually flip. What 20% do we really need to focus on to move the needle? Specifically when we're carrying a lot of hats and have a lot of moving parts. So I will relate this to workouts as well, because it'll go either workouts and or over into what you do from a professional standpoint. So it may not always be effective thinking in the mindset of, hey, let's just go. So what we want to really think about is strategic mode. Okay, what are the most important concepts that we need to address? What are the most important concepts and from fitness that we need to do on a daily basis? What does that look like? So working smarter, not just harder. So energy and focus directed towards high level actions. What does that look like for you? I've had these conversations with some of you guys over the past year, and we got more into like controlling your schedule and things of that nature, which is very important because that's gonna roll over in different areas of your life as well, from home, from workouts. So being able to manage the components in your day-to-day at work can help you manage other areas as well, because you can use these concepts in all areas of your life. So we want to use some type of system, recovery prioritized to build momentum. So creates sustainable wins instead of just temporary like breakthroughs, like, go, 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 and then we finally make it. But what are we sacrificing to get there? And I'll talk about, workouts. The workout mindset would be like not doing the foundational components. So not focused on stress management, no, not focusing on nutrition, but just get your workouts in and not focus on sleep. So what will typically happen is you'll get to a point where you'll plateau, nothing's moving forward because the foundational components, so the strategic components may not be addressed. Those have to be built into part of your life. And I want you to do that on the front side of the program, and it becomes easy for you to accomplish some of those components. So this is just a system that you can put in place. If you follow Andy Frisella, he has some productivity tools as well. What's the most strategic thing you need to do today? The power list or whatever. You guys have probably heard some of these components. I think the biggest thing when we hear some of these things or been exposed to some of these things, maybe at conferences, is making sure that we can build some type of system that makes sense for us. And what does that look like for us? So this one is could be more of like, okay, we're going to do the evaluate. You want to evaluate what's the most strategic components that I need to be working on, from, nutrition. Is it the planning component? Are you not prepared and planned? Are you not taking time to plan? Then we want to make sure we design it and lay it out. And then obviously G is the growth phase. And that may be, hey, I'm making all my workouts. Hey, I'm seeing the needle move. I'm seeing specific results. And then obviously the execution or execute, you've built that into part of what you do on a daily basis. So this is just a framework. It's just from the grind mode to more repeatable, successful patterns. So the evaluation aspect is you kind of step back. You want to pause to assess where am I uh, putting a lot of effort with low return on investment. And again, I'll correlate some of this with workouts. I'll correlate some of this with day-to-day activity in life. So what's working? What's wasted effort? And this is just a evaluation. It's more awareness because sometimes we take and do things that maybe we could delegate, and it makes us feel like we're doing something and moving forward when we're just clogging the system down because somebody else is supposed to be doing that work, or we're not using technology, or we haven't stepped back and taken the time to understand and learn technology and how we could leverage it to help us do certain tasks. So with the nutritional component and fitness component, it's like, okay, where am I leveraging my schedule where I can still get my workouts in? Where am I leveraging my planning? Am I scheduling out when I'm going to eat or what I'm going to eat? So they're just different ways. But first, you got to step back and assess where are you burning a lot of time? Are you watching too much TV? Are you scrolling too much social media? That can happen. You can caught in that trap. So what's wasted effort? You want to kind of evaluate that, and you can dump them down into different buckets. What's draining energy versus building energy? What areas are you currently spending a lot of time in that's really draining for you? You want to evaluate that. Do you need to remove that, or do you need to delegate that, or spend less time in that area? What's going to build, your energy, build your focus. So you want to make sure that you're not spending all your time in that drain and running on you know empty because it will catch up with you. I know guys can do it for a while, but it starts, we start breaking down. So example would be logging your workouts. Focus on quality instead of quantity. It doesn't matter. That's why I program 3 workouts instead of more than 3 workouts, because if we want to be efficient in those workouts and the load and how I design those, you're going to get enough stimulus to move the needle from a metabolic standpoint, a strength standpoint, and a adaptation and muscle standpoint. So it's not about how many workouts you do, it's just the quality of workout you do. And the same thing with work in general. Again, you want to design it now, create the strategic plan built around leverage points. Where can you leverage some of these components? Identify the 20% of actions that's going to drive the 80% result. And, you know, I see a lot of guys, they're getting the workouts in, and then the other stuff's falling to the side. Well, that is just one component. We got to get it. We got to sneak another component in there just to get that up to 80 or to 20%. And I would say if you get your nutrition again to 80% and you're doing your workouts, you're getting that needle move closer to that 20% that's going to see more results. Just hitting the workout by itself, it's just not going to, it's going to get you stronger. There's going to be some metabolic effect, but you're going to miss out on the whole component if you're not addressing some of the nutritional aspect. Just, your fitness, progressive strength plus smart nutrition, just like I talked about. You put those two together, that's going to be 20% of those actions. Now, obviously, we want to start dialing in, sleep and stress and some of those other components. But if you have these 2 components dialed in, it's going to move the needle for you guys. Just like business, you want to delegate to maybe you have an admin, maybe you have a staff member that can take on some load from you, focus on things that are going to be at a higher level that's going to fulfill you and move the needle forward. Again, this is going to correlate in both. with again, if you follow Andy Frisella, he has that power list where it's like, hey, what are the most strategic things I need to do today to call it a win for the day? And you can write, five different tasks out, and those tasks had to be higher level tasks that's going to move the needle the most. And if you hit all five of them, boom, that's a win for the day. If you don't, you got to evaluate where did you get lost in the mix. Same thing with nutrition and workouts. Did you follow your plan? Did you hit your protein goal? And a lot of times I keep it simple for you guys, and we focus on protein, and we maybe focus on total calories, and the carbs and fats we'll let fall off. And we'll keep it simple until we get to a certain level. But did you hit your protein goal for the day? That would be one of the strategic marker points for your fitness. Did you make your workout? That would be another one. Did you get enough steps in to burn some calories? That would be another check mark. So just think of it from that perspective. There's a correlation. Are you setting yourself up for success? What do you need to move away from or get rid of or delegate? Where's your time being spent? So you got to build momentum with compounding wins. Consistency is going to be intensity day in and day out because you have to consistently show up. Because what I've seen with intensity is we'll see a spike up, hard, 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 and then we'll drop and fall off. Then we'll have to build back up again just to get to that level. You see this in multiple areas. It's like the all or nothing concept. But if you can really get consistent, understand the markers and marker points that are going to get you from point A to point B, and build them within your daily activities, even on the weekends. Um, because I would always say, hey, if we just throw up our hands and let the weekend go, you're losing time. We can still get some stuff done, worked around it on the weekends as well. Again, but you have to be a little bit more diligent with your time. What you want to do is track and measure progress weekly. That's why I have all these tasks set up within your app from the fitness standpoint. Because it's like, hey, did I check the box for today? Did I hit that marker point? If you did, you did. If you didn't, it's feedback. What can I do different? Why am I not hitting that? Am I not focusing on the things that's going to get me from point A to point B? So those are kind of your strategic marker points for the program you're in. Maybe different for, your business or your position you're currently in from an employee standpoint. So you want to track, measure your progress weekly. And that's why we put some of the marker points in for, pictures, assessment, weigh-ins, things of that nature, because we need data points to see if what we're doing during the week is going to get us from point A to point B and continue to see the needle move. The things you want to really think about is upgrading your identity. You hear me talk about this a lot. Hey, I'm a strategic performer. I take the time to plan. That's who I am. Watch what labels you take on, because you don't want to label yourself a person who doesn't do some of these things. Hey, I need to start planning. I need to be a better planner. You just take the time and do it. You can become that person. You just have to do it. Action is it's going to be part of the process. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, the execution you can do short, focused burst of high quality action. Again, from a fitness standpoint, it's, during the day, if you need to get up and move around to get your steps in, hey, can you do that while taking a conference call? So there's just different ways that you can get these small wins throughout the day. Did you pack enough protein to hit your protein goal while you're at work? Or did you get up early enough to make sure you made it to the gym before everyone else, before you had to get into your day, I should say. So focus on those that 20% component, the high quality actions. You want to avoid taking multiple things on at once. So if you can, from a multitasking, if you take too many projects or too many commitments, so that's another thing I see a lot of is we take on too much, and then at the end of the day, end of the week, and the beginning of the next week, we're smoked. We can't even show up, and do the things that we need to do to move the needle forward from health and wellness and or our business. So sometimes the boring stuff goes a long way, and sometimes saying no to certain fun activities or extracurricular activities, it's okay to dial it down some and just remember what direction you want to go. And sometimes you do have to make some other choices in your actions to get you from point A to point B. Not all the time, but when you're in a focused growth phase or you've started in a new fitness phase, yeah, you may have to say no to certain things, and that's okay because once you get closer to the end result, you'll have more flexibility. So you want to protect the energy, recovery, sleep, nutrition as much as possible because that's going to allow you to show up at work as a spouse in other areas fully focused and have the energy and capacity to be present. Because sometimes what happens with us is we're ran down and smoked out that we we don't communicate well enough. We are a little bit snippy or irritated. We've all been there before. So protecting some of these things is going to help you perform at a higher level. It's a feedback loop. So you want to evaluate, adjust, re-execute. Again, you want to correlate this to what you're doing on a daily basis from fitness and utilizing the app as much as you can and asking me questions as well, guys. So never hesitate to do that. I know some of you do a better job than others, but that's what the whole app is designed to do is keep you on task to adapt these habits to be part of what you do daily. So that way you don't have to, check them off because you already know you're going to do them. So a fitness example would be, hey, you missed your workout. Now you're going to go grind out 2 hours of cardio activity, restricted dieting for the day, no rest. That's that's not going to necessarily make up for missing a workout. It is what it is. You missed a workout. What you really need to focus on is, hey, can I get good nutrition in? Can I still get some steps in? It's not going about going. It's not about going and doing something extreme just because you've missed a workout. It's just not gonna it's not gonna get you from point A to point B like you think it will. So you want to be more strategic, evaluate um, what can I do instead, and then the design. Obviously, we already have this design for most of you, your strength training. We have it 3 days a week for most of you. Are you hitting your protein? We have it designed for you specifically for each individual. Are you tracking it properly? So this is where some of you guys may struggle. We need to make sure we're getting, the information in the app. We're checking off the boxes because it's going to give you feedback. It gives me feedback. We're also going to start bringing in. I'm working on some technology to help us manage that, and it'll rate everybody out, which will be good. So you'll see some rating components based upon what you're accomplishing inside the app. And then you want to execute. You got to prioritize your recovery and consistency. You want to make sure that you have it built in your schedule. And what does that look like? Where are you spending the time to be most efficient? Again, do you need to give up some activities or reduce some activities? That way you're showing up the best you can. Sometimes you have to do that, like I said. So that was all a fitness example, a business example, grind 16-hour days. Sometimes that will happen. I get it. You don't want it to be part of the norm. If you can um, eliminate it to a certain degree. Sometimes, from running a business, sometimes you just have to get out and do the work. So you don't always want to have that mindset of like, hey, I'm going to get out and hustle all the time and make up for things. It's more about strategic planning, strategic evaluation. Where am I spending my time? Time on low impact task is going to bog you down. How can you delegate some of those components? Design a system, that's going to serve you in the environment you're currently in. So if you have some admin or you need admin time, you want to block that time for strategic planning and strategic task. Sometimes you just have to shut the office door and make sure that the do not disturb signs out there so that you can focus on what you need to do. That way you're not bogged down with other tasks and is pulling time from you that you should be spending on yourself, your family, and other areas. And you want to measure it from a weekly basis. You can do it from a daily basis. And again, that's like the power list. What is your return on investment? Did you get your 5 strategic tasks done today or not? And if not, why? sometimes what we try to do is put too many of those higher level components on our daily task, and I'm guilty of it as well. But over the years, you kind of figure it out that hey, I'm going to put it on here, but I understand that it's just going to get moved to tomorrow because there's just no way the capacity. I don't have the capacity to do all those strategic things. So you want to try to execute daily top 3 to 5 tasks to move the needle forward. I'm going to go back to your exercise nutrition. We could get your nutrition lined out. So, are you hitting your protein goals? Are you hitting your goals? We start hitting those 2 marker points, check them off. Are we hitting our workouts and our steps? We start there and then we start building. Now we're working on our sleep. Now we're working on our stress. Now we're working on other components. We'll start fine tuning that. That's just an example that's going to correlate in both areas. And then you want to reframe some of the language you use if you do have setbacks. It's not a failure. Again, you're going to hear me say this quite often. It's feedback. If we don't evaluate and step back and look at the situation and learn from it, we may repeat it, and it may become what we do, a part of our habit or a program we consistently are part of. If you don't take the time to kind of look at it, evaluate it, what could you do different? What was the lesson? Is there any emotional response? And then move on. So it's an identity shift. I'm more strategic. I do plan. I'm efficient with my time, and I'm okay with, hey, letting certain things go or removing them from my daily activities if they're not serving me or not moving the needle forward. When it comes back to your own health and wellness and your performance recovery, it equals a performance multiplier. Again, if you're fueling your body well, you're getting your workouts in, you're getting some of your sleep dialed in, stress management, your productivity is going to skyrocket because you're going to have a lot more clarity, and you're going to be able to do a lot more higher level thinking and strategic thinking when you have these components taken care of. So the micro wins compound into long-term wins and confidence. So it becomes who you are and what you do. So again, we want to do strategic energy instead of scattered effort. If we're just showing up, we're probably going to get the results that are below average, guys. It's almost impossible to move the needle if you don't take some time to have some strategic planning in place. And that's part of changing some of the habits. It's part of changing your routine and focusing on, the 20% that's going to move the needle. So it's also going to prevent burnout because I've seen this too many times. People burn out not only in business and what they do in their careers, but they also burn out with fitness because they go extreme all or nothing mentality in the front side and they burn out. It's not about that. It's about, hey, how can we build this within? Who do I need to become? What does it look like? What is my outcome? So clear steps to follow, not just motivation. This framework can apply again to fitness, business, and life. So if you need to take some time to do this, or if you want to schedule on your next coaching call, we can kind of talk through some different strategies. I've done this with other guys in the program as well, just from a different lens, to help you. So we want to have a good foundation with the health. It should roll over in your performance, not only in your whatever you do from a career standpoint, but also outside of your career at home as well, how you're showing up as a spouse, husband, um, father, things of that nature. So you want to apply it. So where you're currently grinding it right now with little payoff. So do evaluation. Where are you spending a lot of time with little return? And how can we put some effort into that area to minimize the grind, or how can we make that more efficient? What does that look like? What steps can you implement in your daily routine that's going to move the needle the most? Health and wellness to business productivity to family. So you can break it down into those categories. Evaluate. I would make sure that like every Sunday you have everything laid out and ready to go for the week. That way, when things do go awry, which they may, you still have the ability to win most of the week without setting yourself back. So take some time to evaluate guys on your coaching calls. We can address some of these components and implement some of these applicate or apply some of these techniques and strategies to not only your health and wellness but also other areas. So let me know, and then we'll talk about them in your individual calls. Have a great Wednesday evening here, and win the rest of you guys' week. I'll talk with you guys soon.